Hey guys, and welcome back. So today's video wasn't supposed to be today's video, but I logged on to Twitter today and realized it was Mental Health Awareness Week, which is something I've got involved in the past. So today is going to be no different. I went on the official page the other day for Mental Health Awareness Week, and a lot of the topic seems to be around body image. It seems to be the focal topic. So I'm going to talk about that first, and then talk about, where I am right now with my mental health and shizzle, So, let's go. Let's dive into it. Okay, so body image for me is something I really struggle to talk about because it has really affected me in my life. I suffer with body dysmorphia as well. Which in short basically means that what I see in the mirror is not what everyone else sees. But for years, it has always felt like people are lying to me. And like most people, I very much dislike liars. It's been a learning curve for me to just accept that I have body dysmorphia, and that's okay. Right? And I can't be angry at people for trying to make me feel better about it, because that was a big issue for me, and it's always been a thing. Like, I look at my childhood, and I had an amazing childhood, by the way. It was sick, it was great, but when I look at myself and how I was feeling on the inside about my own being, I do not remember of a time where I was comfortable in my own self, like, be it physically or mentally. From as early as like 4 or 5, I remember like pulling on my stomach. When you sit down, you get the low rolls, and especially on kids, they're cute as heck. But I didn't see it like that. I just seen flaws, just constant. That just wasn't acceptable in my head, even from a young age. And when you possess that level of discomfort from such a young age, growing up is gonna be hard, because your body goes through so many changes, from like the ages of 5 to 15. Oh my god, you're constantly evolving like a weird little Pokemon, basically. And because I already didn't like myself, all of the change, I took the changes very, very personally every single time I was going through these evolutions of self. I got really chubby at one point, because obviously you get a bit chub to grow up, but I didn't see it that way, and it really all kicked off for me. I didn't want to know. Couldn't look at myself in the mirror. I didn't want to. At that time, I didn't even wear makeup. So basically, I was actually okay so long as I didn't see a photograph of myself, catch my own reflection, or look in a mirror. So I was able to kind of go about my life quite okay, as long as I didn't face those things. Then puberty happened, or shall we say, it didn't happen as early as I wanted it to, because I was a late bloomer. I didn't have puberty till I was like 14, and I was a very, very athletic preteen teen, which was great. I loved running, and I loved being on all of the sports teams I could possibly be on, and I enjoyed it a lot. But it wasn't until, changing rooms, people talking about bodies, and except all of those things. Like, I hated getting changed in front of other people. I still do. I'm working on it. But when I was a teenager, like, if we were getting changed in the changing rooms, I would like seek out a bathroom stall, or I would get changed in a bathroom away from the changing rooms or whatever, just so that I did not have to undress around other people. And that came from, I remember one day in the changing rooms at school, what was I? 13, I think I was. And now, at 13, I was a string bean. Like, my nickname on like school running competitions, like when we competed against other schools, was Chicken Legs. Other schools would call me Chicken Legs. So, you can just build this photo of a gangly little me who just loved running. Well, I didn't love it, I was just good at it, so I just did it. But I was just a string bean, basically. And I remember in the changing rooms one day, people commenting on how I was basically a little boy because I had no testicles and I was just straight as a board and just very small. There's just nothing wrong with, by the way. And I'd never like really seen that as a real big flaw yet. Like, I knew that my body was different from the girls in my classes, but whenever it was being really pointed out and focused in on, that's when I started really, like, it justified any feelings of self-loathing and hatred I had. I was like, oh my god, it's definitely true now because they said it's true. And then puberty happened and nothing really changed. I'm still built like a little boy, but I own it today. Like, I don't care that I don't have curves, and I don't care that I'm flat-chested. Like, I honestly feel very comfortable in my own being right now. I like it. But it took a lot of work, you know. So by the age of 15, that's when my depression and anxiety got really bad. And that's when I stopped working out. And things changed again. I went into this next phase of my life of a different form of self-loathing. I very much still did not like my body. Very much so. And I felt even more uncomfortable when I was slightly changing, because obviously I changed a bit during puberty. You know, when my hips changed and all that kind of stuff, I freaked out. I got so used to being the little boy girl that I was, that whenever my body did change, because I felt like I just started owning that, I was like, no, it's fine. I look a little boy. It's okay. And I really did start trying to own that part of me. And then it changed. My whole body started changing. I had started to get little hips and stuff. And I was like, wait. I did not sign up for this. And yeah, I just, it made me even more uncomfortable, basically. And I had a new level of self-hatred again for that. And I stopped exercising and kind of like stopped looking after my body in general. Like, I stopped putting good food into myself. I skipped meals and all of that kind of stuff, basically, because I didn't like it, so I didn't feel the need to care for it. And yeah, at that time in my life though, I had like no drive to do anything, so exercising definitely wasn't gonna be a thing. And you know what, it didn't come back into my life until I was 22, so that kind of stuck around for a long time. But with the whole body dysmorphia, like, I mean, TV was weird, as you can imagine. Luckily though, no one really picked on me for my body. Obviously some people did, you know, either call me too fat or too thin, blah blah blah, but you know, my body dysmorphia kind of quietened down a little bit in that phase of my life. Surprise, surprise. But it was definitely weird because you were under an actual microscope, not just your own self-possessed one. You know, when people are talking about you, it's a bit bizarre. But my body dysmorphia really kicked back in again when I went on tour with the X Factor. Because when you're on tour, there's lots of free food, right? Lots of free food, lots of free snacks, lots of free junk, basically. And I helped myself, so again I put on weight and really just got back to that point where I couldn't look in the mirror again. And I was using, at that point in my life, I was using food as a comfort. You know, when I was feeling uncomfortable or sad or irritated or whatever, like, I turned to food and I would eat to the point of sheer uncomfortability. And I was drinking alcohol at the time, which is just liquid calories, so that plus loads of junk food, plus already hating myself. And I used food as a form of self-harm, actually. Really, when I look at it, it was eating so much to be uncomfortable is not good. It's not a good place to be. And you know, over the years I have, you know, not so much now, but between the ages of 17 till 21, I just was in this weird position with myself and my body and all of the things that kind of go along with just trying to figure out who I was in life as well. Like, sometimes my uncertainty with where my career was going, who I was, you know, just trying to figure out who I was, really. I sometimes used that anxiety and turned it against my body, and I would act out against my body and not treat it well. And definitely was back in that phase of like living where I couldn't look in the mirror. And I hated photo shoots, and I hated music videos. Like, I enjoyed them for what they were. Do not get me wrong. I understand how privileged I am and how amazing it was to be on sets and stuff like that. That was fun. I enjoyed that. It was more whenever it would come to like editing a music video, or like looking at press photos and things, like trying to put like your rational head on when you see a photo of yourself and you're like, oh, I look like this, I look like this, like, who let the goblin out of the cellar? You know what I mean? And I have to really try and peel back like my insanity and try and go, it's fine. That photo of me will do. That'll do. And at that time in my life, I did a lot of surreal images. And I think they helped me a little bit, because like the fact that they were surreal and it was like fairy tale-esque and not realistic photos, I didn't mind them so much. And also I could get away with like editing my face a bit more, because I'd be standing beside a unicorn or something, you know what I mean? Yeah, it wasn't a good place to be. Like, it's no fun not being able to appreciate your own music video because you're in it. Like, not chill at all. And as well, like, it's, when you've got body dysmorphia and you've got like an online presence, it's also very, very weird, because just like the people in my life, throughout the years, like when friends try and give you compliments and say, oh, you're so pretty, or you're looking really slim, or like in a complimenting way, like if somebody tries to give you a compliment, it's offensive for some reason. Everything's offensive when it's a compliment, because you're like, how dare you lie to my face? How dare you, someone I love and trust, look at me and lie to my face? And that was a very, very horrible place to be in, because it meant I had a lot of weird resentments against the people I loved, and the internet, and you guys, like when people were commenting on photos being like, oh my god, you look so pretty, I was like, how dare you? How very dare you? And you do have a resentment, and yeah, it's just uncomfortable. So you're probably thinking to yourself, like, are you still in this? Like, is this something you still go through? And like, kind of, but like on a minor scale in comparison to how bad it used to be. And for me, I had my wake-up call. I got very lucky and got a wake-up call, because I think it was 2 years ago or 3 years ago or whatever now. I lost a lot of weight. I worked myself into the ground, wasn't looking after myself, was not eating enough at all, and was just literally burning the candle at both ends, and just did not care that I was losing weight at all. And when people would bring it up, I'd be offended, because I'm like, here, like, I'm a singer-songwriter, like, I'm not a model or anything, like, you don't need to like comment about my weight to me, like, I don't care, because it's irrelevant, because that's not my job, even though they were commenting on the fact that I was too small or whatever. Like, it just didn't compute to my brain. But that was just me justifying like this form of self-harm I was on, right? And then like, I've posted this video before, I'll leave a link in the description, like, I've talked about this, is what I'm trying to say. I got so small that one day I woke up and I posted a photo of me in my pajamas on Christmas Day, and the internet went off. It went off. It was, I was being attacked from really close followers, like friends, strangers, everything online. The media picked up on it because my thighs were like freaking toothpicks, basically. At the time, I was just about 6 stone, which is not good because I'm 5'7". And my wake-up call wasn't the mean comments. It was the comments from girls, young girls, saying that they wanted to look like me, that they wanted my figure, that like, that was goals to them. That's what woke me up, because I knew that it wasn't healthy, and I knew that I was only letting myself be that small because I hated my own reflection, and I hated being who I was, and my mental health was like in such a bad way that I let myself get there, because I didn't deserve to look after myself, basically. So when I seen comments from girls saying that that was the figure that they were going to get, and I find like people were sending me links to me on these pro anorexia websites and stuff, and that was just, to think that you could be aiding someone in their own form of self-destruction, it was just disgusting and diabolical to me, and I couldn't believe I let myself turn into that. Like, I was a part of that against my knowledge, but I allowed myself to be in that position. So I woke up and I realized that something had to change, because I didn't want to be that person. I never once signed up to be a role model anyway, but whenever you find out that you're a role model for self-destruction, that wakes you up. And I went to my doctor and we talked it out. I got my bloods done, and I was very lucky that even though I was so small, my body was fine. Okay, I was just maybe a bit iron deficient, but at the time, I think I basically had a period for like a year anyway, and anyway, so that's why I was like, well, it's either that or the fact that, you know, I haven't had a proper square meal in a long time as well. So those two things together meant my iron was very, very low. But beyond that, my body was all right. So I was very, very lucky. Very, very lucky. Thank gosh. And that's when I started learning how to cook. I took on a plant-based diet, which seems very, very contradictory, I understand. However, I wanted to learn about food. I wanted to learn the ins and outs of foods, and yeah, I took on a plant-based diet, and I kept it on for, you know, a year and a bit, and it really, really helped me. It really, really did. I learned a lot about food. Now I'm in a really good place with a lot of it. Like, I obviously still have body dysmorphia. Like, that's not something that washes off after an epiphany. It sticks around because it's part of my mental health, guys. But I'm in so much of a better place right now. I'm really good at giving myself little reality checks. Because 2 years ago when I had that wake up call, you know, I did start like making food again, and that led to me having more energy, which led to me then learning how to work out again, and I started running, even though I hadn't ran since I was like 14, 15. Worked really hard at getting good enough at it that I could go out and do it almost every day. So I'm still not good at it, but I very much enjoy it because it helps me out up here. And it means that I'm actually looking after myself, which is a weird concept, because for me, I got very, very comfortable in deleterious practices that, you know, the pain was familiar to me, so I stayed in it. It wasn't comfortable like I thought it was familiar. So to move out of my comfort zone of self-hatred and self-destruction and move into a place of uncomfortability and trying to learn how to be okay with myself was a very long and grueling process. And the longer that I've really stuck at it, the easier it's become. So nowadays, much easier. Like, I had a photo shoot yesterday, and though I'm exhausted from it, I wasn't hating myself the way like 17-year-old me was hating myself on photo shoot days, because my body's more of like a machine than it is this vessel of hate. And I'm very, very lucky to be in the position that I'm in today, where I can look at my reflection now without wanting to die. It's great. You know, it genuinely is. But I can't say it was easy, and I can't say it was overnight. unfortunately. These are things that I've had to work towards. And, you know, quick roundup of my mental health. Now, like, I'm working really hard at it, you know. Go to therapy, even though I don't want to, because I feel fine. But that's the hard part, you know. I'm guilty of, like, letting things fall to pieces before I fix them. Whereas this time, not gonna. I go to it regularly, and I keep on top of my mental health so that I don't fall apart. And so far, so good. So definitely recommend that, because I think a lot of people do what I do, which is not good. I definitely recommend regular therapy instead of waiting until you have a breakdown to go get some. But yeah, I'm in a very, very good place these days, and I know that I'm very lucky for that. You know, still good days, still bad days, because it's life. Life will keep on lifing. It's very hard to round up a video like this. It's been a very long video, so if you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Do feel free to share your own stories of either, like, your mental health, or, you know, what your experience of your little journey has been, or your experience of body image, because when I've read them in the past, like, what you guys share, like, it's so inspiring. It really helps me a lot to know that I'm not the only one going through these kinds of things. So yeah, do feel free to share it. Also, you don't have to, because it's the internet, I understand. But yeah, it might be worth having a wee scroll and a wee read and seeing what other people's stories are, see if they can help you as well. So on that note, I hope you're having a happy, happy day, and that the world is treating you the way you deserve. Okay, bye.